Hello, and welcome to the Screen Stoop podcast. Today we watched The Crowded Room, episode 4. To recap from the perspective of facts, in 1979, a young man, Danny, our main character, shoots up Rockefeller Center, injuring 2 people. He is arrested walking out of his or a home known as Ghost House. At some point, I'm assuming during his arrest, police find a plethora of dead bodies. I'm also assuming under his home in a flooded basement or something, a shed, whatever. It's not a fully functional or constructed area. Regardless, there's water and a lot of dead people. Detectives connect these bodies to Danny. A psychologist specialist is brought in to interrogate Danny with the objective of getting him to admit to these killings, and one detective has his fingers crossed, Danny's a serial killer. To recap from a blend of reality and Danny's mind, Danny has severe DID. He's made up these imaginary friends or personalities. They're really extensions of himself that help him through life whenever he needs him. He's got a drug dealer, Johnny, who supplies Danny with financial support. Mike plays the part of a friend/wingman. Ariana is his dark side, impulses, repression, and I believe she's the serial killer. She's violent, erratic, and unstable. But they're all Danny. Yazik is a bodyguard and Danny's personal protection, providing him a home and safety from confrontations, even saving Danny from himself in a couple of instances. I can also never get his name correct. We're also going to meet another imaginary friend today, Jack, who is like a conscience, Jiminy Cricket type character maybe. Also, Adam is Danny, in quotes, twin. I believe it's not confirmed by anything tangible, but I'm predicting that is also a dissociation built when Danny was being sexually abused. Raya, the psychologist, is 100% aware of all of the madness here, but she has to tread carefully, as we saw with Danny's outburst in episode 2, not to push him too hard, or she may never get the answers she needs. But this psychosis just keeps getting deeper and deeper, more intense and elaborate as the episodes go on. We think that this unraveling and everything spiraling out of control in Danny's life happened because of an earth-shattering observation. I believe Danny's consciousness was broken in finding the murder den dead body storage center that only Ariana was aware of. Now the personalities have constructed all these other issues to distract Danny from the truth and are preventing him at all costs from becoming aware. Now let's get into the episode. Danny is flying to London. Oh, these flight attendants walking through the 70s airport look really cute. I loved the telephone booths. I thought everything here so clean, so nice, so retro. But also, why is Danny hiding from the police? There's no reason to if he's in London.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because in the Mindhunter book, they explain that local law enforcement between counties alone had trouble communicating, and that's why a lot of serial killers slip through the cracks. So I highly doubt Interpol was a thing at this point, let alone being able to communicate across continents.
So it's weird that his consciousness has created such an elaborate, like we're going to other countries now in his mind. However, he is still consciously aware that he needs to turn his head away from police every time that he sees them.
Yeah. So for the record, we believe it's not actually London he's in.
No, we already know. No one's there. It's not London.
Yeah.
If you believe that, you're stupid. He never got a passport. He never went anywhere. He's still at home. He's created new realities. He's Wanda Maximoff. He's flown the coop. He's off his rocker. At least before this, he was participating in something that I could conceptualize. How on earth do we trust anything that we see now?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm going to get at right now is I think he did have a passport because it did show him burning a passport in the fire and then he threw the documents on top of it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So it's like he got a passport, but he didn't go to London. So it's funny that we're saying that people are stupid if he went to London. If it turns out he actually went to London, we're going to look so dumb.
Yeah, we are. If he got a passport, this is what Raya was getting at, then Yitzhak is magic. It's unexplainable. The passport, the money, the maps. How could he have done that?
Yeah. And
how could you have done that with Danny, taking his photo, all that?
Yeah, and even Danny was like, he has no explanation for it. He just says Yitzhak has connections.
Yeah, so I don't know why he burned a passport. Maybe that's why his psychosis goes so deep. He leaves notes for himself.
Yeah.
maybe one of the people that he murdered had a passport on them. Maybe it was evidence.
Or what if his father really went to London, but it was because before the family split up, they went as a family, so it could be a passport from when he was a child, maybe?
Oh, that could be. In this fantasy, Danny Sullivan is looking for Pete Sullivan. The phone call is so cute that it makes me sad. And then I'm sad for myself that I'm emotional in this stupid show where this kid is crazy and he's not even leaving a message for his dad. But it was just so, I don't know. It broke my heart to have a kid say, like, I'm here and I want to see you if you have time. And
yeah, it is sad because the whole reason this guy is like this is because he suffered severe emotional and like psychological trauma and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make anything that he does right, but it is sad because he wasn't born this way. So it is heartbreaking because you kind of see that all he wants is his dad.
Yeah. Danny said to Raya, bailed on Adam and I. Like the dad bailed on Adam and I when we were young. And I just thought, sure, guy, in quotes, Adam.
I'm going to laugh when he's real.
So Danny walks into the London travel agency. He asks the receptionist for his father. She says she's never heard of him, but the boss will be here in a bit. She's typing as this British guy with glasses walks out from the back into the office. The secretary doesn't acknowledge this British man at all. She looks completely confused when Danny walks out the door because he's not there. He's not real. We found our new London imaginary friend. Also, he's British Detective Gordon from episode 3 Artwork Journal. Danny leaves the office with this new imaginary friend and they go to a pub.
And his name is Jack. And
Yes.
I wonder if it's a reference to Jack the Ripper.
Ooh, what if he's the killer?
Ooh, I don't think he is, but I think it's just interesting that the British guy's name is Jack, and then the founding father of all serial killers that we know of, like, factually, is Jack the Ripper.
Oh, nice. Okay. So 2 drinks are ordered from the restaurant here. However, beer and whiskey are commonly paired together, so it's not as uncanny as drinking 2 full sodas would be. Also, like, Danny gets pissed drunk in the area.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and he even says, this is so on the nose. He's like, oh, the beer's stronger here. It's like, yeah, because you're drinking hard liquor and beer.
But I like how Jack, the persona, like, covered and said, oh, well, that's because in America they sell you carbonated water or something like that.
So they're talking, Danny's dad isn't here, and the man is alluding to Danny's dad and him being some type of, like, super spies. So I thought, is Danny making up this fantasy story to cope with his dad's loss? Like, when an abandoned child says that their parent is really famous, they're a rock star, and they're on tour, and that's why I never see my dad.
Yeah, it's not that he's a deadbeat and he abandoned us. It's because he's off saving the world, being a hero, or he's some super cool guy. Yeah, it's sad.
The new imaginary friend, Jack, calls Danny, Danny boy, we've found our note leaver.
Yeah, you were right.
Jack also alludes to knowing Yitzhak Safdie. He's now this character who was sent to protect Danny or watch over him, some kind of promise to his dad.
Yeah, it goes into like Yitzhak, Jack, and Pete, Danny's dad, all being like a group. They all worked together. They all did a job together. And the promise was that if either one of them made it to the States before Pete did, that they would watch over Danny. Well, apparently Yitzhak makes it to the States, like, probably, what is it, like 17, 16 years later after Pete has abandoned them and is now miraculously watching after Pete and protecting him.
I wonder, what's the purpose? It's not real, obviously, but what's the purpose to this thought?
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of alludes to the later of, like, the 3,000 quid or the 6,000 pounds or whatever with the strip club owner, right? I think it was just like a little story to tell his mind to get him the courage to try and rob a place because he needs money to hide and lay low.
So this was essentially like a self-contained episode more.
I think so. I think this is kind of away from the bigger picture necessarily. It has nothing to do with like necessarily with I forget Danny's stepfather's name, but Danny's
Marlon.
Yeah, Marlon and the thing that happened at the Times Square or whatever. I think this is more of like him trying to be self-preservative, you know? He's trying to hide and not get arrested.
Danny is disturbing other people in the bar with his wild behavior. You can see the other patrons shaking their head in the back. Jack, or Danny as Jack, gets to stand up to the rude, who actually wasn't being too rude, waiter, and threatens him with a knife as Danny watches uncomfortably.
Yeah, that was interesting, but it kind of shows that, like, Jack is a little unhinged himself.
I thought that it was like the example, and then you see what he's trying to teach. So the first moment you see Jack, he's like, this is what you do with everybody. And then he slowly, throughout the episode, teaches Danny, this is how you stand up to people.
Yeah, stand up straight, put your chest out, head up, defend yourself.
Yeah, I just wonder, where did Danny, in his psyche, like to create this character, learn about this? TV and movies?
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume movies.
Regardless, I just thought, classic Danny. Just watching one of your friends do something important for you.
Yeah, I mean, he could also learn it from comic books because we see in the show he reads a lot of comics.
He does?
Yeah, when he's on the porch, when Ariana comes out to apologize to him for
it's that weird
Annabelle.
Serials comic, though.
Yeah, but it's still comics.
Oh, but he likes that guy.
Yeah.
And the other girl, Annabelle, she liked the alien. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, I like this strong man.
Yeah, he's like a miner. Mm-hmm. So.
Maybe.
Yep.
They leave the bar to go find Danny a place to crash, but they make a stop in this alley for Jack to conveniently get Danny to see a man in the front of a strip club or something like that. I thought a man dressed like Jack would not be walking through the slums with homeless and druggies. I believe the imaginary villain wouldn't as well. I wonder how manufactured is this, like, well-dressed villain getting into a Rolls Royce? I doubt that's what was happening.
So the villain that they saw is actually the strip club owner. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it was real. I think the strip club owner is real.
But you think he was getting into a Rolls Royce at the back of this dirty dungeon?
Oh, I think so, yeah, because of, like, strip clubs make a lot of money. Just the best customers are in the slums.
I completely disagree. I think that strip club owners are poor and nasty, and
I think that they probably have a decent amount of money.
Why would they not spend more money in making their places nicer? Portland is like one of the strip club capitals of the world, and they're all disgusting.
Yeah, but they're still open and in business. And when they shut down because of COVID, they opened back up.
They don't even charge. It's like the girls get most of the...
They have food and drinks. I work with a guy who buys food and drinks from there all the time.
I believe Danny made these well-dressed people and this well-dressed villain and all of it up so that it's just kind of like easier to tolerate. I don't think that the strip club, even that they walk into, it was fancy, a high-end place. Girls are wearing silk and chiffon robes over their tit tassels. It's elegant looking. I'm sure that it's just Danny's perception. In reality, this place is the nastiest strip club ever. And everyone's drugged out.
His mind might have made it look better, but I think that the strip club owner was real. The bouncer, because the club owner was so confused. He's like, who is Jack? Most of the personas are aware of each other.
I don't think that he made up that guy. I think he's making up the environment just like he made up the London environment. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe he made it look better, but I still think he went to a strip club to try and rob it.
Yeah, no, I am saying yes. I'm saying a guy who is strip club is in the bottom of the worst hole you would ever want to go into in a city, is not driving a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, but no, I get what you're saying, though.
I'm saying Danny has created an extra cool villain to go to this through with this extra cool backstory, like James Bond style.
No, I get
because
it.
That's what he's kind of created this character.
Yeah, he just threw some icing on top of the garbage.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I'm saying that I don't think it's that, but I understand why you would think that because we think that he made up the London persona. So it wouldn't put it past him to throw some icing on this strip club and make it look a little better.
Yeah. When Raya is questioning London, she is astounded by this boy's psyche and his ability to rationalize. She's trying to get him to understand, how could this guy know your dad and he just happened to be in the travel agency and he also knows Yitzy and...
Yeah, he just shows up when you need him most, just like Yitzy. And
yeah, so she's almost just like astounded that he believes this, and his psychosis goes so much deeper and is far more disturbing than the DID that we assumed he had.
Isn't this where she calls him out too a little bit, saying that he's responsible for everything, and he like freaks out on her again when he yells and says,
That might be when. Yeah, I think so. But the confirmation that this all is taking place at home and completely inside Danny's own reality, not the tangible world, is that the note Raya found in episode 2 about fish and chips is on his London crashing spot's nightstand.
In the exact same spot. The camera even kind of lingers on it, which I think was a little on the nose. But you would assume that if he took it from London, folded it up and put it in his pocket, it would not be in the pristine condition that it was in when she found it at the ghost house.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why London is made up.
Yep. We talked a little bit in episode 1 about how I can't wait to see all of these things in the episodes happen, like circumstances with it being just Danny. Danny talking to himself when he's supposed to be with Johnny and talking to himself when he's supposed to be with Ariana. I really can't wait to see what was happening when Danny believes he's in a different country. What seedy, disgusting bar was Danny actually getting drunk at? Who really is the trench coat man getting in the Rolls Royce, they say? I thought that it was like a taxi. I thought like maybe that could be it at the end of like Crime Alley. Are these pretend British police going to be the ones who arrest him? They weren't, but that's what I was thinking. Will Danny start speaking in a bad British accent to Raya? And then essentially he does, because it's shown as Jack at the end. I just thought that it would be hilarious because Tom Holland in the bar kind of does a bad British accent. And I thought, how deep is the psychosis? And maybe this is what made Tom Holland go crazy. A British actor acting like he's from New York, then doing a bad British accent. I just found that hilarious.
Yeah, that would put me through the ring. I would need a straitjacket after that.
I did really like the Buddhist anxiety analogy, as Danny has created these personalities to cope with life. But if he has this type of insight, why? I just don't understand how he can simultaneously be kind of like involved in it and fooled by it. I'm wondering, was this guy, did he come up now in order to expose Danny to the psychosis?
I think it goes back to how you said Danny found the bodies and his persona is like ganged up to try and help him because it drove him insane. Because when Raya at the end of the episode says, I think we need to tell him to Jack, and Jack says, if you do that, it'll be catastrophic. I think he came about as a savior to keep Danny
him pushed down.
Yeah, because Danny's like, he's broke. He's on the verge of completely breaking, not being rebuilt.
Yeah.
Like he's about to like be in a mental institute for the rest of his life. And this Jack persona, I think, is trying to keep the pieces together.
Okay. I was wondering, is Jack going to be like Danny's father in his head? Like he'll bond with him and like him, and then it turns out he's his dad. Like, is he going to surprise him with that? You know how in some movies that happens?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't because of that reason. I feel like it's a common thing. And
like
I
in
just
Pretty
want it
Little
to be
Liars,
like,
Hannah takes Caleb to go meet his uncle, and it's really his dad. And
it's like, I don't think it'll be that way unless that happened in real life, because I find it so hard to believe that people's lives are like a movie. There's no way that this happened to a real person, and I hope they don't dramatize it to that extent.
No, I know, but I'm saying he's created it, though. What if he's seen a movie? What if Danny himself has seen a movie where that type of scenario happens? So then he wants that to happen to him too. He creates Jack and he bonds with him and he really likes him and he's this cool guy and
Pathetic.
he's some kind of a spy. And then he says, "Oh, it turns out, Danny, surprise, you're on a soap opera. It's all about you.
Oh,
I'm
goodness.
actually your father."
Like that Days of Our Lives.
To me, Danny is so crazy. How is this psychologist even giving him the time of day at this point? They must have absolutely no leads, everybody in the world must have been talking to this kid. He's leading like 5 different lives. How do they not have more witnesses to come? Why are you even dealing with this guy anymore? Just have him. It sucks to not be in the 21st century when you can catch him on cameras.
Yeah, they must just have a ton of like circumstantial evidence and they're really banking on a confession.
I guess. I mean, he did do everything right, though. He paid in cash. He used fake names.
Yeah.
So how are you really going to pin it on this guy besides just observation?
Yeah, and I don't think DNA was a very big used thing in the late 70s. I don't think it was until like mid 80s. So
Wow. You could get away with anything back then. There was no phones. There's no DNA. Were there even fingerprints?
There was fingerprints, I think, and there was, I know in a case I read, they caught a guy based on carpet fibers from the trunk of his car. So they can do fibers and stuff.
Okay, so they did some stuff,
Yeah,
CSI.
it's just DNA was a new thing that's helped a lot. Like DNA, the discovery of DNA and how to use it in crimes put a halt on like serial killers because it's a huge thing we use nowadays to catch people.
Also, like cell phones, because you can ping anyone anywhere from outer space. There's satellites flying around our planet constantly. There's also hidden cameras on highways that are taking pictures of your license plate when you don't even realize it.
Even if I don't have my cell phone, if I have my Fitbit, they're pinging off my Fitbit.
They're anything you have electronic.
Yeah.
So Jack is teaching Danny how to change his demeanor and demand respect through body language. And I really liked this part. As soon as Danny sets his mind to doing this imaginary task set forth by Jack in the alley, the camera spins from following Danny toward the strip club to facing Danny, and Jack is no longer visible in the background where he once was standing, while Danny's face is now more resolute, indicating exactly what Raya believes. Imaginary friends or personalities are only here when Danny is feeling helpless or in need.
Yep.
And I messed up for the 42nd time saying strip. I don't know why. I have brain damage, so I get a pass. You look surprised. I keep saying, like, script. Like, I keep saying script instead of stripped. Maybe it's not that noticeable, but I keep hearing it in my headphone.
Oh, I didn't even
And
notice.
it's super bothersome.
Oh, huh?
So, what do we think about this bearded strip club guy? Why did Danny's subconsciousness latch onto this man as a target for the make-believe scenarios that are going on here?
It's a good question. I just think it was an easy target. I think it was more like it's too hard and complicated to rob a bank. There's too much risk, but it's also more cash that you would get than if you were to rob like a mini market or like a 7-Eleven. So I think it was just kind of like a need.
It didn't sound like he wanted to rob the place when he went in there.
Yeah, it
sounded like he wanted to confront him.
Well, confront him for money though. That was the whole thing. I want what you owe my dad, which was supposed to be 6,000 quid or pounds, because he says 3,000 quid and then says 6,000 pounds. So it's confusing.
Are quid and pounds the same thing? I live in the United States.
They're a form of they're both forms of currency in London.
Is it like dollars and cents?
I think so. I don't know.
Because that'd be what, $30?
I hope it's not $30. Oh my goodness, I have to look it up now.
I mean, it's definitely not $30. I'm just saying 3,000 pennies is $30.
So a quid is an alternative term for the British sterling pound, which is the official currency of the United Kingdom.
Okay. So, Shelb, something about those lights flashing, you said messed with Danny's head. If you're correct with that, it would be insane. There are light therapies. I've had some tried on me for my brain issues. It could be that the flashing lights like wiped out his ability to dissociate, but that's a stretch. Why did you think that?
Mainly because the camera focused on it so much as if it was supposed to be a big thing.
Okay.
It could have just been to amplify the chaos of him being tossed about and thrown out of the strip club.
Yeah.
But I think because when he got thrown out, I know that we saw that Jack wasn't there, right? But that's because, like you said, he became like convicted in his decision to rob this strip club.
Yeah.
But now he's at a point, he's getting thrown out. He's at a point where he needs help. And this is where his personality
Yeah, this is the first time that he has not had help.
Exactly. And that's why I think the lights did something, because he got out and looked up expecting Jack there, and he was gone. And he yelled for him and was looking for him, and he couldn't find him for a long time.
That's true. I wonder if they'll bring that back. Like, what if this psychiatrist or psychologist decides, hey, let's try some light therapy?
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Or that when they do like the whole flashback thing where it's just Tom, you kind of see like the effects of it from
Maybe
an outside perspective, because you see it from his perspective.
You mean Danny? You said Tom.
Sorry. I think he's just a good actor. He does a great job in this show.
So as you mentioned, Danny retraces his steps to try and find Jack again, and it doesn't work. He's frustrated, but then whoop, Jack pops out of nowhere right in his bedroom, in the place that he's crashing. Quotes, in London.
Yeah.
Yitzy is like Danny's bodyguard bouncer. Jack is like Danny's life coach. He's all about pumping Danny up to face the world and stop running.
Yeah. Also, we never mentioned this, but Jack has been in communications with Yitzy this entire episode on the payphone and stuff. And
oh yeah, I totally forgot.
Yeah. Well, Yitzy keeps saying like, we need to have him delivered. You need to deliver him or something. And Jack's saying, I will. I'll get it done. And even Raya is like, so you saw him in the phone booth, and Danny says, well, I saw a phone booth. And then she's like, well, how do you know exactly what he said? And he's like, I don't know, maybe he told me or something. Which also furthers to the point that, like, Jack is completely fake. This whole London experience is fake.
And Yahtzee fake. I then wondered, if Detective Gordon is only here for one episode, I'm confused as to why his picture in Danny's journal was so distinct and vivid. He only met Danny for a day.
Yeah, well, you said it was reminiscent of 50 Cent's, like, album cover, right?
Yeah.
With the colors and stuff, it reminds me kind of like stained glass.
Yeah.
And where do you see stained glass? In churches. Jack's acting as if he's a savior or a role model. So I wonder if he's such a big highlighted part in his journal because Jack was supposed to like save him or protect him as like a savior.
To me, I thought it was like shattered glass. But when did he have time to draw that? Because he is mad. And I thought, well, maybe he drew it the time that he was mad at Jack, because he says people take advantage of you. And so he basically thinks that this Jack guy abandoned him. And as soon as he saw that he couldn't get the money, he's out and he's never going to see him again. And so I thought, well, maybe he drew the picture then, because it's kind of like shattered, like, oh, my image of you is broken. But then Jack comes back and Danny just accepts all of his advice and says, yeah, sure, I'll go home.
Yeah, well, I think when he goes back, when he's looking for Jack and he runs back to his little hiding hole in London, and he's tossing the room about and he's like tearing up the like tour guide thing. Next to him is like a napkin. When the camera pans, it looks like he was drawing on like a napkin. So maybe you're right. Maybe he was drawing, like that time has been shortened for us, and maybe we'll get an expanded view of that later on. Mm-hmm. Because you're right, there's no time right now for him to draw that yet. It's like one of the most detailed drawings he has.
Yeah. But also, he moved on very quickly from being so mad at Jack to then saying, yeah, I'm going to take your advice.
Yeah, like furious with Jack.
Yeah, you just before didn't believe him and everything that he said to you was a lie and he used you. And then now, no, I agree. I'll go back home and admit that I killed everybody.
Yeah.
Or that I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
That I shot up Rockefeller Center. That's all that Danny has officially come to terms with doing. And then I was wondering, what was the point of this episode? To just show how insane Danny is? London is totally make-believe. I'm just picturing Danny in that taxi when he goes home, asking the driver to take him around the block. She drives Danny like a half mile in a circle, and then he's back home in the front of his house again. Because you said that, you know, it transitioned from he gets in a London taxi, and then he arrives back in front of the ghost house. in like a yellow taxi, like indicating that he's back at home. I just imagine him like walking out the door. I'm in this taxi.
Yeah.
She just drives around 3 stoplights. Okay, you're back home. Thank you for the money.
That would be so funny. I mean, he obviously had to go somewhere and get a taxi back, but that would be hilarious if that's what happened.
Well, but he went from... Oh, yeah, because he must have gone to the airport.
Yeah.
But he originally was staying in his home. So what if the lady was the same one that just picked him up from his house and took him to the airport, and then picked him up from the airport 5 minutes later and took him back home?
She's like, do you want me to wait out here while you grab whatever you forgot, sir? And he's like, I didn't forget anything. Goodbye.
Yeah.
What?
So I really liked this part. Danny, after arriving home to the ghost house, is in Ariana's room, and he is positioned sitting exactly as Ariana did. Face frowning and taut, with legs crossed, long limbs on top of each other. It looks a little bit weird having petite Tom Holland do the same pose, but the room is dark. Danny's face is looking like Kylo Ren. He's staring at himself in the mirror, and then Danny walks downstairs to burn his artwork and the passport as the police approach.
Yep, and now we've come full circle to the first episode.
But because then they just jump right back to the, like, little room, the interrogation room, or whatever you want to call it, counseling room, where the psychologist is talking to Danny.
Yeah.
When do the police find the bodies? I think they have to do it right after they arrest Danny. Or did they find the bodies before they arrest Danny?
Maybe they haven't found the bodies. They didn't find the drawings in the fireplace.
No, but they did find the bodies because after Rockefeller Center, the detectives already know to pin this guy as a serial killer. You don't do that just on the off shooting where you injure two people. So they know that there's bodies and this kid is connected. So in the interrogation room, Danny sits so close to Raya. This should not be allowed. The police should be running in, guards hitting Danny. She should be screaming. Episode 2 or 3, Danny stands up quickly and the guards threaten to come in and Raya has to like hold her hand up that she's okay. Why are they letting this kid get so close?
I think it's because, like, obviously they've been there a long time. Who knows how many days have passed, how many months have passed, if it's been a couple years now or a year. Because when Jack appears at the end, she's like, oh, it's good to see you again. Like, obviously she's having communications with Jack and possibly the rest of the personas, and that's also how she knows that he's insane.
So she's just moved on from actually trying to peg this guy as a serial killer to like, she's just counseling him now.
Yeah.
She's just this counselor for all the different personalities. Ariana's working on her like emotionally opening up and availability, and Johnny's working on not letting himself be used sexually for drug money.
I do like Tom Holland's acting in this point, though, because when he gets up and moves so close to Raya and, like, kind of gets in her face, it's very intimidating.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he did a great job.
I thought it was a little comical.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's just because you're used to him being Spider-Man.
Those beautiful heels of Amanda Seyfried's are back. They get their own intro music and feature scene walking through the parking lot. A solo moment for those spectacular shoes. Just click into the beat of the music. Wonderful.
It was a very good scene.
It's a new day. Raya walks into the familiar interrogation room, and Jack is now present today. I am so pumped to see the different personalities interviewed and psych evaled.
Yeah, but it makes me worried if we're even going to see like a replay of everything happening on just the end of Danny, or if they're going to save that for like a season 2, because there's a lot of personalities to get through and to interview in the next, 6 episodes? There's only 11 total.
Yeah, maybe she'll just do 1, but when Raya walked in and said, "It's nice to see you again, Jack," it was so good. I was just like, yummy, yummy, yummy. I ate it up. Once again, the personalities are reluctant to clue Danny in on the psychosis, acting as a defense. Jack refuses to tell Danny, says to Raya that it would be catastrophic if they expose him to everything that's going on, just as Johnny and Ariana also were.
Yeah, I believe Raya says, "Don't you think it's time we tell him the truth?" And Jack says, "That would be catastrophic."
Yep. And that's where we end. I believe the reason they are all doing this, and I mean they as like the police and the government is letting this taxpayers funding go to this, is because even though Raya is aware that Danny has severe DID and is completely bonkers, she still doesn't understand the extent to how evil and criminal he is, murdering several people, being a serial killer, because she's still handling him with kid gloves. But the detectives wanted him to be a serial killer, and so they must know that there are bodies. Maybe I'm wrong, and they haven't found the entire pile of bodies under the ground. Maybe they only think that he killed a few people. Maybe they don't know, like, how bad he actually is. And they kind of, that's why they keep going, is because they need to know, is this guy, like, the most notorious Ted Bundy ever? Or did he just kill 3 people? That's why they keep entertaining this madness.
Yeah.
But they must have some bodies in the morgue already to be keeping this guy here for so long. And I hope that we see those in the next episode. Just why are we continuing through this charade?
Yeah, I hope we get to see a little bit more coming up.
Thank you so much for listening to our recap of The Crowded Room, Episode 4. Episode 5 comes out next Friday on June 23rd. So we'll see you then.
Later.